What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the vlog. Today's episode, if you didn't already figure it out by the fucking start, title, whatever you want to call it, is essentially going to be running through my journey as a coach, why I became a coach, and all the fucking rest of it. Because as of roughly this week or next week or something like that, I'm essentially celebrating 8 years as a coach. Now, I use the term coach now. Back in the day, I used to use PT. I do believe there is actually a distinction. Now, I used to say this quite a lot. I used to say that, there is a difference between being a PT and being a coach because I think that they are different things. A personal trainer is essentially your Cert 3, 4, working predominantly in a big box gym or group fitness that basically just has people come in, pay them for a session. They're like your Gen Pop, basic level, count some reps, out the door, in and out as quick as you can. A coach is somebody who has then gone on to further educate themselves. Now they have gone on to learn more. They've gone on to teach more people things that they have learnt themselves, or whatever the case might be. They've done courses and all the rest of it, because since I first became a PT, I have essentially just wanted to upskill myself quite dramatically. And I'd say I did a pretty good job, given the fact that I have probably now spent a little over maybe 120 to 130K in total in education. That includes university, courses, seminars, workshops, books, coaching, mentoring, basically everything you could think of, I have probably done to some degree. I have done courses on nutrition, training, biomechanics, injury prevention, psychology. Fucking learned a lot, and I've continued to upskill myself the entire time. I do believe that that is probably one of the biggest reasons why 8 years on, I'm still here, still doing the fucking thing, and I still get to help people every single day. Now, I'm gonna take us for a little time warp back in time. It's not gonna be a super long episode today, but a few key little things that are gonna be thrown in there. Now, when I first started as a PT, it'll be somewhere here. I was, 20 years old. I had ummed and ahed for a few years about whether I wanted to actually do my certs or not. I'd only been training for probably 2 to 3 years at this point, and basically was deciding whether I wanted to do PT or real estate. Now, at that time, I decided to go with real estate because I thought real estate was going to be seen as more prestigious. I thought it was going to be, what was going to have me seen in a better light by other people. So I went with real estate, and I remember having that conversation with my dad, and I was like, I don't know whether I want to do PT or I want to do real estate. Like, real estate seems like it's going to be more better, for lack of a better term. It's going to be seen in a better light. And it wasn't until I became a real estate agent that I realized that it's actually the complete opposite, and I fucking hated it. I lasted about 6 months, maybe just under, and figured out a way to get fired, got fired, and got a payout and left. And that was basically where I was like, all right, cool, gonna go do my PT certs. Started working full-time for a supplement company, and I was just doing my PT certs on the side. And then as I sort of progressed through that, I actually worked my way up into the sup company pretty high, and I became the national sales manager. Now, this kind of led me down the path of then deciding whether I wanted to actually continue to go down the route of PT or not. However, I still continued with it and was doing my PT certs, getting my hours. I was doing my time at a gym that I was also training at the time, called AMPM, Art of Motion, Pursuit of Movement. It is on the Gold Coast. It is now known as Legacy Through Movement. Shout out to Jerry and the crew there. Absolutely amazing gym. If you've not gone and checked it out and you're on the Gold Coast, go and check it out. You won't find a better vibe. So I was around with that crew from back in the day, and essentially we were like, it was calisthenics, it was group fitness, and I was doing that. So I would essentially, like, this was a day in my life. I'd get up at about 3:30, depending upon the day. I would get up, I would write down my power list, as I called it back in the day. Shout out Andy Frisella for that one from the MFCEO project. I'd write out my power list of the tasks I wanted to get done for that day. I would then go to the gym. I'd be at the gym by about 4:30. First class would be 5 till 6, I would shadow. And then either 6 till 7, I would shadow another class, or I would jump in the class. And then I would leave from there. I'd leave at 7. I'd get to my job at 7:30. I would then work anywhere between 7:30 till 6, 7. I hate that meme. Anyway, moving on. And then I would drive home. I would eat on the way, and then I'd go to the gym and train over night time. And 9 times out of 10, I'd probably be getting home at around like 9 or 10, eat, and then go to bed. So I wasn't sleeping a great deal whilst I was doing this. And eventually, it took me probably longer than it should have to get my certs, but I got them. And then about a month went by before I actually went all in on PT. And I'd kind of been looking for a job, somewhere to start, when I found Jets Varsity Lakes. I applied, got a call from the owner, Chris, and he basically just said to me, he's like, cool man, like, you know, keen on the job, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, sweet. So what I'm actually looking to do is I'm going to work full time here because I've got a pretty good thing going with Genesis. And then I will go and like, I'll come in PT part time. And he just straight up on the phone call, he's like, oh, no. Like, this is either you're in or you're out. It's like, this is a full-time job. It's you're either committed and you're going to be 100% in on this, or good luck. Like, you can go find somewhere else. And I was sitting there on the phone, and in that instant, I just said, all right, I'm in. I'm going to do it. I'm going all in on PT. So I had some holidays coming up from Genesis that I'd already planned, went and took the holidays, come back, walked in, sat down, handed my resignation in, and was like, I'm out of here, 2 weeks, see you later. It was one of the best decisions I ever made. I didn't really love the job at the end of the time and basically wanted out of there anyway, so it worked out really well. What happened next was just insane. Now, my first year as a PT out of Jets was really fucking cool, because I was one of the only PTs in the gym, so I had a pretty easy run, I guess you could say, at building a business. It did take me around 6 weeks to get my first like full-time locked-in clients that were paying me every single week. Back then, I was charging $50 a session. It was like $50 for 45 minutes. And yeah, it was fucking, I thought I was living the dream. I was starting to make money. I was starting to get clients. I was starting to get busier. I was working like, you know, pretty long days still. So I was still working at AM, PM doing classes there of a morning. So I would do the 5 and 6 a.m. class most days. And then I would go to Jets and I'd work there pretty much all day. I'd train, eat, study, like whatever, you know, course or whatever I was doing at that time. And then I would go and work until about 8 o'clock at night. And then I'd come home and I'd do the same thing again and again and again and again. And when I was starting, it was pretty fucking difficult. As I said, it took me about 6 weeks. And I remember I was sitting there one Friday night and I was like, fuck, I just need to know. I need to build a business. I need to know how to do this because the PT certs did not teach me this shit. And I randomly stumbled upon a podcast called the PT Performance Podcast. Shout out Chris Mooney and Matt Richardson, Richo. The boys fucking launched a massive like podcast that really helped teach me the fundamentals of business when it comes to being a PT. And fortunately, through that interaction, I started to talk with Chris, with Mooney, and we formed a bit of a relationship. He would check in with me from time to time. And over the course of that 12 months, my first 12 months of a PT, he then randomly reached out to me one day and he's like, mate, I'd love for you to come and check out this new facility I'm going to be working out of. It's called EMF. It's going to be in Nerang. It'll be the largest gym in Australia, and it was at that point in time. So please come and have a bit of a look at it, and yeah, we'll just go from there. I went in, I had no expectations. I didn't know what the actual meeting was about. I genuinely just thought that that Mooney wanted to show me the new gym that was getting built and to sort of see the like caliber of facilities that were coming through. We went through this massive tour, and it was in that instance that he's like, oh, cool, so do you want a job? And I was really taken aback because I'd found out, like, as we were walking through, that there'd been a whole team of PTs that had been hired, but they'd been going through like a 3 to 4 month process of vetting. So they'd had interviews and group interviews and tasks and like these challenge days and shit to like essentially get the best of the best. And here I was 12 months in, and Chris is just like, yeah, man, do you want a job? Like you can just start here and that's it. And, similar to when I first got offered the role at Jets, I was like, okay, this is the next iteration. This is the next thing. Done. I'm going in. So I started working at EMF. I went back to Jets, handed in my notice, and I, within about 6 weeks, was working out of the new EMF facility when they opened. So they hadn't opened yet. They were brand new, like things were still getting built, and we were essentially just told that like, yep, we can start at this date. That date ended up being 2 weeks after when we were actually supposed to be starting. I'm very, very fortunate that a majority of my clients did actually come with me from Jets. So I kind of hit the ground running when it came to starting in this facility, which ended up working in my favor because I essentially built my business off of the back of already having clients and people who were coming into the gym because it was brand new and there was a lot of new trainers there. They saw me already working and they were like, well, that guy's busy, so he must be a good trainer. And so they came and worked with me. I also was doing like 8 to 12 classes a week because I figured that that's the best way to find people who want to learn how to train. They're coming in, they don't really know how to train properly. They need a little bit of guidance, they need a little bit of help. If I just am friendly and I'm nice to them and I offer assistance where they need it, then they will sign on with me. And that's exactly what happened. I built my business off of the back of already being busy and then doing group classes and just simply little tips and tricks along the way. Hey, have you ever thought about doing this with your squat? Hey, I noticed you were doing this with your bench press. Is there something wrong with your shoulder? Is there something we can sort of potentially help with? Blah, 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 offering as many free sessions as I possibly could and just built my business. Now, whilst I was doing that, I was actually and had started studying at university full-time. I was doing my exercise science degree. So I was studying full-time, I was working full-time, building my business and all the rest of it. And through that journey, I ended up becoming one of the busiest and most successful PTs in the gym at that time. I had pretty decent weeks. I think the max I made in 1 week, which I was pretty fucking stoked on, was like 4,500. So that was pretty cool to be studying at university full-time and make $4,500 in a week. Now that wasn't reoccurring. That was, a few paid in fulls and some stuff like that. But reoccurring was like pretty decent over that time as well. And I'd really started to build a decent business and a decent name for myself within that gym. Through that time, and throughout this entire time, like, yes, I was at uni, but I was also doing other mentorships and courses and just like short courses and trying to educate myself as much as I could because I really did just want to become the best PT I could possibly be and best coach I could be. It was through this time that I started actually powerlifting and I started to get into the powerlifting world and all the rest of it. So I started competing. I started working with a coach who I'd actually met through EMF. And as it kept happening through my life, I would put myself in situations that scared me and then something really good would come of it. So as a part of that journey of getting into powerlifting and working with this particular coach, Mr. William Crozier, I eventually got offered the job of being the coach out of the Nexus Performance Gym when they first opened up on the Gold Coast in Burleigh at the original location. So I sat down with Will after one of my comps and we were just chatting and he's like, we're sitting there and then Mickey came in and she's like, so, do you want a job? And I was like, yes I do. And then they told me that they were opening a gym and anyone who knows Mickey knows that she works fucking fast because they were like, oh yeah, we're kind of thinking about opening a gym, and like this could potentially be what it is. Like we have nothing confirmed yet, et cetera, et cetera. And then within 2 weeks, I'd handed in my notice to EMF, and basically it was just full steam ahead on Nexus Performance Gym, which was really fucking cool. So I was working out of there. I was the head face-to-face coach out of the Gold Coast facility, and just increased the fuck out of my skill as a coach. And this is where I actually started to call myself a coach, not just a PT. Was like, they raised me up to be like, no, like you're not just a PT now, like you are a coach. You are genuinely helping people with specific outcomes, like, you know, getting stronger, getting bigger, getting leaner, getting more athletic, all of these different modalities. Like you are able to, like you're doing this now and you're doing it at a very competitive level. Throughout my time there, I've taken clients from everything from their very first comp. I've taught people how to do SBD and taken them to their very, very first comp, all the way up to multiple federation comps, multiple nationals appearances. I've taken clients to IPL Worlds when it was on the Gold Coast. I had one of my clients win IPL Worlds. She set a world record in the squat or deadlift, one of the two. I've had 2 females deadlift 200 kilos, which is pretty cool. I've had multiple guys deadlift 300 kilos. I've had a few 300 kilo squats. I've had a few 200 kilo benches. So yeah, I've got, you know, had a pretty fucking decent run as a powerlifting coach so far, and I still would classify myself as a powerlifting coach to this day. So I stayed working at Nexus for 2 or 3 years. I can't remember exactly how long I was actually there for. And I ended up becoming the head coach of the entire company. So I became the head coach of Nexus, and then it just got to the point where I realized that I wanted something more. I needed the next level, and I kind of realized that the next level for me would be to actually go out on my own, and go back out working for myself again, go back to, you know, building a business that I can be proud of for myself long term, build something really fucking cool that I can be proud of. Throughout the time at Nexus, I had graduated university, so then I was able to then just put all my time and effort back into work and continue to build a really fucking solid business. But as with any time when you're working for somebody, you are kind of limited in your ability to actually progress. And I found that for me, I'm somebody who always wants to strive for more, but I just didn't necessarily think that there was more there left for me to strive for. So when I made the decision to leave, it wasn't an easy decision at all. It was a really tough conversation to have. And I knew that by going back out on my own, I would essentially be starting afresh. And I did that. I ended up leaving Nexus. I had less than 10 clients because of contractual agreements. So the majority of my clients had to stay. And I built my business. I went back out on my own in August 2024, and I have essentially been continuing to build my business since then. I've launched the podcast. I have mentored other coaches, and not from a business sense, because I still don't believe I am in a position where I should be giving, you know, full scale fucking business coaching advice, because that's just not my forte. But I coach coaches on how to actually become better coaches through training, through nutrition, through rehabilitation, and, you know, staying within scope of practice, but also that they can help their clients as best as they can. I've helped 4 mates of mine become PTs and coaches, which has been really fucking cool. And it's actually amazing for me, because all I've ever wanted to do since I became a PT at the very start was impact others so they could then continue to impact other people. One of my biggest driving factors for being a PT in the first place was because I wanted to help people who were like me and help them to find a love for the gym and training and all the rest of it, find what works for them, and not make the same mistakes I did, because I've made fucking plenty of mistakes in my time with training. And because I've trained and trialed so many different styles, modalities, diets, I've been big, small, overweight, skinny, fucking unhealthy, healthy, everything you could possibly think of. I've probably been it, and I have done just about every style of training you could think of, from calisthenics, bodybuilding, fucking hybrid style now, powerlifting and strength. I've done a strongman comp, which was like more or less a bit of a joke, but I've still done it. I've fucking played sport, all the rest of it as well. So in terms of coaching as a spectrum, I'm proud of myself for this, because I'm fucking really well educated. I know that I have impacted probably upwards of over 1,000 lives now, given, everybody I've worked with, from everything from a group fitness setting all the way through to one-to-one. It's probably coming up to, if not at about 1,000 people in total that I have helped impact in some way. And by now being able to help other coaches, I'm then creating further impact, because those people have a trickle effect. So if I'm impacting one coach and that coach ends up working with 100 people, well, there's another 100 people that I've technically helped to some degree. And that's why I've always been such a big believer and a big supporter of further education for coaches, for PTs. I think if you are a PT or a coach and you want to be successful in any way, shape, or form, you need to further educate yourself. You need to go and upskill. You need to learn, pay people for their experience, and gain more than you could ever believe by just trying to do this shit on your own. In a world full of online coaches now who just jump in and fucking try and make a quick buck, I believe there's a huge difference between those style of people and the people who actually survive long term and build really good, reputable businesses. Now, I would like to say that I've got a pretty fucking good, reputable business. In PT world, surviving 6 months is like a fucking 90% failure rate. 12 months is then another 90% of those 10% who did survive don't make it past 12 months. And I've now been here for 8 years. So I must be doing something right. Yeah, that's pretty much the journey. And I'm still continuing to build the business. I'm still continuing to upskill myself. I'm still continuing to learn. I'm still realizing that there's ways in which I can be better as a coach, as a person, as a human, as all of these things. I can further support my clients. I am just trying to continue to provide a difference for others, a difference in this world. I believe that you have a responsibility to be of service to others, and it brings a fucking heap of fulfillment to you as a person. I know I've been personally fulfilled. I've worked with some incredible people. I've had some incredible stories. I've supported clients through cancer, through COVID, through losing jobs, through losing family members, through pregnancies, through births of their children. I've supported people all the way to the world stage. I've supported people who've started in the gym and felt lost. I've supported people through depression. I know that I've had an impact, and I know that I will continue to have an impact for many more years to come. And that makes me incredibly, incredibly excited. So if you're a PT or a coach, or you want to be, take this. Like, if you show up and you put in effort and you show that you care about people, and you genuinely need to care about people because it is a very personal thing, then I promise you that you will be successful, you will make it, and you will have a very long and illustrious career. If you have any questions, shoot me a message. Send me a fucking DM on Instagram. I'd love to chat to you if you have any questions about how to start, where to start, what courses to look for, if you need a hand with anything to do with programming, nutrition, any of it, hit me up. Let's get it. Hopefully you enjoyed this shorter, sharper episode, but I just thought it'd be really cool to just celebrate my time as a coach in this way, and also offer a little bit of insight into those to just see a different layer of how I've made it through the years. I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you on the next one.